Welcome to Life Her Podcast, the podcast that guides you from the 9-to-5 grind to the freedom of your own path. Discover how to conquer life's challenges while pursuing your passions with unwavering faith. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. So let's get to it.
Hey everyone, I am Yvette Lloyd, host of Life Her Podcast. We have an amazing guest on here tonight, and she is an amazing actress. I've seen plenty of clips of different movies she's been in. She has done work with Tyler Perry. She's done work with on Lifetime Movie Network. She has been everywhere, all over the place. However, we cannot forget about the journey that she has been on to get where she's at today. A lot of people think that we just get there straight to the point, nothing happened, they just see the results. Well, we are getting ready to find out the fruits and labor that she has done. So welcome, Vitelle. Hey.
Hi, thank you so much. Great introduction. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So how are you today?
I am great. I am rejuvenated. Just got back from the lake, spending some time with the kids. I'm feeling good.
Okay. So I want to say that I love the fact that you are from Ohio. So
Yes.
you know, us Midwest women, we are amazing.
Absolutely. Amazing people come out of Ohio. So shout out to all the Ohio folks out there. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, for sure. So I really want to get into everything on how you started, and I see that you've done a lot in Kentucky, and then from Kentucky you went on to Atlanta. So express on how you actually got into the industry as far as acting.
Oh man, you got me thinking way back because so a lot of times people ask me like what made me want to start acting. So I've been wanting to be an actress like for as long as I can remember. It's not something I ever remember not wanting to do, honestly. So as far as breaking into it, I really just started like in school and stuff. Like I didn't really have, the supportive parents like Beyonce or the people that, like Michael Jackson's family that just push you to do what you're passionate about. I had a lot more opposition coming up. So I had to get it in where I could fit it in. And so when it came to like church plays and performing in school as often as I could, be a part of something that if it was going on during school, then I could be a part of that. And then, going from there to going to college and joining theater in college, I only stayed there for like a year or less, probably less than a year, probably a couple of semesters, because that's like I just knew like I wanted to pursue this. Like I don't feel like I need to have an education behind this. This is a God-given gift and talent, and I'm ready to just do it. And so I did have to move. Like you said, I was in Kentucky at first, so I was working in like Ohio, Indiana, like wherever they were filming within driving distance. I would drive there. I would sleep in my car. I would do whatever I had to do, sacrifice to make that dream come true. And then I eventually moved in 2009 to Atlanta so that I could pursue it further in a place where there was more happening right there rather than me having to travel to everywhere. So it was the decision between LA, obviously, or Atlanta. And so I weighed the pros and cons. I really wanted to work with Tyler Perry. That was like a big number one goal for me at the time. So that's one of the reasons that I went ahead and chose Atlanta. Plus, it was a little closer to home, a little more comfort zone, but still stepping outside the comfort zone. And once I got to Atlanta, it didn't take me. It was about 2 months in that I was working actively and consistently with Tyler Perry Studios, and just kept going from there. Like just constantly submitting, constantly networking. It's really all about who you know. So just constantly networking, and it got to the point where I wasn't even having to do auditions anymore. It was just people would call me and recommend me and, speak for me when I'm not in the room and things like that. So it was a process, but, I highly recommend it. If anyone out there is trying to follow your dreams, go for it. Don't let anything stop you, whether you have the support or whether you, the only one, believe in you on your own, just go for it.
Yes, because I've seen just even during the process of your career, you have been homeless multiple times.
Yes.
And I've noticed that you have previously said that you've been homeless in different forms, because a lot of people think just homeless, just whatever, like just
Right.
straight abandonment, but you have different forms of it.
Mhm.
What was the experience like when you were with your family, your kids sleeping in the car in Miami?
So it's different in hindsight, but I can say when I was going through it, it was very stressful, very traumatic for me. It is one of the many traumas that I speak on now when I'm traveling with helping people with heal from trauma. But at the same time, like looking back on it now, I can say that it was probably the happiest times of my life, because my family was closest that it's ever been. A lot of times we as American families will come home, everybody goes to their separate rooms, everybody gets on their devices, everybody does their own thing. We don't have as much togetherness. And so when you're homeless sleeping in the car with your husband and your two kids, you're together all the time. So we're constantly coming up with ways to be creative, to spend more time together, to keep the kids active and not really realizing that we were in a bad situation here. Like, this is bad. It didn't affect them in a negative way, because it was always fun for them. It was always exciting. It was always something new. And it was not out of the ordinary that, at nighttime, we just sleep in the car. We looked at it like we live anywhere we want because we are rich. We're always working on that mindset and making sure that we speak what we want and not what we see at the moment. And so, we were like, we can live anywhere we want. We can live on the beach. We can live. And that's what we did. We actually went to Miami at one point when it was cold in Atlanta, and we lived on the beach. So it's like we could go camping, and we love camping anyway. So a lot of times we just go camping, and it didn't feel so much like you were homeless when you're camping. So we just made the best out of it. And it was really like the least stressful time. I think paying rent is very stressful. I'll say that. Like, when you didn't have the rent to pay, it's like, and you work so hard to get to pay the rent, and then you're like, dang, now I gotta pay this rent.
Right.
So it was a lot less stress. Like, we had everything that we needed except for a place to live, an actual house, I'll say, because we had a place to live. It was our car. So, I could just be grateful. Even in that time, I had to learn how to be grateful for what I did have and not focus so much on what I didn't have. And I had a car. A lot of people didn't even have that. I had food. We never were starving. A lot of people are starving, even in this country, especially in other countries too. So I had that going for me. We always had blankets. Like, we always got, donations, and we'd have so much stuff that we'd start giving to other people. And so that's how I started my nonprofit, the homeless tour, because as I was homeless, I'm helping other homeless people. We got more than enough. Let's hand it, give out to somebody else. So we always had more than enough. We just we couldn't do the rent thing at that time. So, yeah.
Wow. I know that you were saying like the difficulties of going in the homeless shelter and everything with you being married and stuff. What advice do you have for people that is actually families that's going through it and single women that is going through it right now?
Man, so I'm writing a whole book about that. So because I have a lot of advice, but at the same time, it's like I have a lot of advice, but I have none at the same time, because there wasn't much help. So the best advice is probably just to understand that there's not much help, and you're kind of on your own here. Like, that's the harsh reality in this country. The places that you probably donated to at one point in time, I ain't gonna call no names, but these big brand companies that are putting all their money into marketing, they're not helping as much, and you don't realize it until you're in a situation where you need them and they're not there for you. So that was my experience with that. So, unfortunately, I never advise people to lie. I know lying is bad. But unfortunately, in that situation, I had to learn how to work the system. I had to learn how to not be honest. And that is really freaking sad that, you can't even survive in this country without lying. I mean, look at the politics. I mean, that's where we live. So, I had to learn to work that system and not mention my husband, or just omit information or whatever in some cases, in order to get the help that I needed. That was really the only way. If they know you're married, they're going to eliminate you from a lot of assistance you could get, because they feel like, well, your husband should be doing this. Okay, but he's not. So like, what do I do now? Like, so you have to just not mention him, unfortunately. And so, it was that situation a lot of times when it came to getting help. When it came to going to homeless shelters, it was like, they separate the men and women. So the men would have to go over here, the women and children would have to go over here. And 9 times out of 10, no matter what city you're in, they're extremely dangerous places, especially for women and children. So the few times that I did stay in the homeless shelter, I tried it, just to try it for myself. Can't say I didn't try, but I was sleeping with one eye open all the time. Like I never would really sleep, because people are there with you, and people are people. So, it's dangerous. I would say just always protect yourself, always keep your guard up. And if you have children in that situation, I would just advise to make the most of that time together, because as long as you're determined to get out of it, it is a temporary situation. And so I try not to even use certain words as much anymore. Like even with homelessness, it's like, we're not homeless. We're temporarily displaced right now, so trying to just change the way you view it, and just staying positive no matter what, and trying to focus on the good in the midst of what you're going through is the best advice, because that's how you're going to get out of it. So many people stay in that situation for years on end, or maybe for the rest of their life, because they don't see any other way. And the longer you live in it, the more that's all you see. So it's harder to think bigger. It's harder to see something else. So, when I was going through it, I was staying like nobody knew. I was the most dressed up, the most makeup, jewelry, all the stuff. I did the most when I was going through that. And I showed up to every networking event, every audition. I was still acting. I was still on set. And I just reveled in the moments of, oh my gosh, I'm actually doing what I'm passionate about. And this is soon going to make me enough money that we won't be having this situation, and just focusing on that. Like you have to just really shift your focus, which is really hard to do when at night you're looking at what it is and where you're sleeping and what's really going on. So I would often like look up at the moon through the sunroof and just think about the bigger picture, like even just something as simple as looking at the moon. Like this moon is so much bigger than me. This is God's creation, and I live on this planet, and I have all these amazing opportunities. I live in America, and it's like all this positive stuff that I can think of, rather than, dang, we sleeping outside right now. This sucks, So you just have to your mindset is everything in any situation, but yeah, especially in the homeless situation.
Yeah, mindset is everything, for real. So what was your first big break in the industry, and how did it impact your career, even for you to get out of your homeless situation?
I don't really know how to answer that question, because I don't feel like there was one big break. Like I've just been working for so long. I never really looked at the status of the project, whether it was like a short film for the school. Sometimes those were paying me more than what a major big screen movie was paying, so it's hard to gauge like what's that moment, what's that big break. But I would say like, it's kind of weird for me. This is the only way I can answer this question. So when I really try to think about like, when was that moment that I feel like something shifted or something changed to where I knew that I'm really doing this, it was not a specific project. It was, I was working with Tyler Perry. It was just a moment that he and I had that stands out for me when I'm thinking about that. And it was on Good Deeds. I had to think of the name of the movie. It was on Good Deeds. And I was actually just a stand-in for that when I was Standing Newton stand-in, which I don't feel like I look anything like her personally, but they apparently did. So, so I was her stand-in. And for those of you who don't know what a stand-in is, basically they do all the work while the actors go chill out and relax. And then when it's time to actually shoot it, they do the scene that you're seeing on the movie. The stand-ins did that probably like 20 to 50 times before the actor then came in, once everybody was ready with the sound and lights and all of this stuff, because the stand-ins been doing this scene over and over again. And they also, 9 times out of 10, they memorize the script. If they're good stand-ins, they memorize the script too. So they know that role. They are that role. But then when it's time to actually shoot it for what you're going to see by the time you watch it, then the real actor comes in and then they take over. So So that's what my job was. I was
I
standing.
never knew that.
Yeah. So you get that. So that was so I was standing newsstanding, and I'm sitting in the pizza parlor scene where her and Tyler Perry is sitting at the table in the pizza parlor. So I'm sitting there doing my role as her, and the other stand-in that was there for Tyler Perry was doing his role as Tyler Perry, and we're running through the lines, going through it, and then all of a sudden Tyler Perry comes in. He's ready to go ahead and shoot it, and so that means the stand-in comes out, and Tyler Perry comes in. He sits down in front of me. He's like, "Oh, hey, Vitelle." And I just like froze up. I'm looking like, who he talking to? Like, I don't forgot my own name. But it was a simple fact. And we talked about it before we started filming. It's like, you had to make sure you pronounce my name right? Like everybody has to, right?
Right.
You don't know it. Like, I'm like, okay, so he know me? Like, so in order for him to even pronounce my name right, it was just a revelation that, okay, he knows who I am. Like, you don't expect when you're kind of doing the behind the scenes and you don't interact that much to really be known. And so that's why that was like that moment for me. That was like,
that's
wow,
amazing.
Tyler Perry knows who I am. And then like the rest of the day, I kept feeling really weird because I kept feeling like he was looking at me all weird and stuff. But like not in a like a weird perverted way, but like, you know, like he was casting. Like I could see his wheels turning as he looking at me, and I'm like, he must be casting me for something. I could just see it in his face. And so I'm like, oh, it kept making me nervous. I'm like, oh, I can't look at him. Keep looking at me. So, yeah, so that was you know, that's just a moment that when I think about like I said, there was no big break. I think even with bigger breaks in the future, like I have a goal, I have bigger goals. Obviously, I want to do a Marvel movie. I still would not feel like that's my big break, like because I've been doing this for more than 20 years. So, you know, so it's just a bigger goal. It's just one goal on top of another. And once you reach that goal, you can set a bigger one. And so all of them are big breaks as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, seriously. But you say you want to do a Marvel role. I can see that because I watched a few videos of you. Girl, your emotions they can be all over the place, but you are so good at it. Like you can be high, you can be crying, you could be scared, like your emotions and the way you know how to transition. Right. It's beautiful, and I done seen some people that just not quite great at that part.
Right. And famous ones too. That's what I'm saying. The ones like it don't take no talent these days. It don't take like it is all about who you know. Trust me, and your determination and persistence, perseverance. Like it, you don't even got to be talented. As you can see, it's a lot of people on TV that can't act. We just gonna be real.
Girl, you got it though. You got it.
Thank you. But yeah, the Marvel, so that's one role. Like I've played so many different roles. I usually get typecast as crazy because I do it so well. And not too many people, you know, the emotional, the crazy, or the hysterical or something, you know. But I haven't done a superhero role yet. So that's just something different that I haven't accomplished. So that's my list.
So it's one thing that you have accomplished, and that was your first book, I Am.
Yes.
You have different types of emotions in that. You have depression, suicide, abuse, human trafficking. I haven't read it personally yet. I do plan on it. But are these different things that you have personally went through?
Yes, I have it right here with me. It is actually a memoir and story of my life, but it's also written in poetry format because that's one of the things that really got me through a lot of my traumatic experiences was writing poems. So it's written in poetry format, attempted to put it in chronological order as best as possible because a lot of it came from like journal entries over time. So it wasn't all set and wrote at one time. It was like the real life as it was happening. I'm writing this. And then as you know, I got out of that, then I decided to put it all into a book. So, and it's also a self-help book. So like in the back of the book, there's helpful information for anyone who can relate and who is dealing with depression or maybe experiencing suicidal thoughts or going through abuse or dealing with the narcissist. Like basically it's the blueprint for everything that I went through and experienced. If I could give myself a book and go back through time and be like, here, read this, girl, you're gonna need it. And, you know, that's what I Am is. And so yeah, it's great to have finally written it and published it. And it was it was 10 years in the making, because that's how long it took me to convince myself, like, do it, girl, do it scared, no matter what. And just went ahead and published it. And ever since then, I've been traveling with it. I speak on it. I do, countless interviews and just everything, just spreading the word. And right now, mental health is a huge deal. Like, everyone's talking about mental health. Once Hollywood starts talking about it, everybody's talking about it. But I personally feel like I started that. I'm not gonna ever get credit for that, because I've been doing this for about 20 years talking about this stuff. So, but now it's become the norm, and that's great though. It's never a competition when it comes to the mission and the purpose. At the end of the day, I just joke about it. But like, I'm glad that so many more people are starting to address these concerns. Like, yes, let's go, let's get it. Let's talk about suicide. Let's talk about stuff that people don't feel comfortable talking about, but it needs to be talked about because it's saving lives at the end of the day. And being silent is what's destroyed so many people and even taking lives. So yeah.
Yes. Being silent is like, it kills you internally, and sometimes people don't notice it until it's too late, and it affects you so much. So how were you able to get through these different experiences that you have experienced in your life that basically it could have stopped you? It could have stopped you from pressing forward with your acting career. It could have stopped you from being a business owner. It could have stopped you in so many ways. What actually kept you going?
It's multiple things, but I will definitely give credit to God first, because honestly, if it wasn't for the Lord on my side, where would I be? I don't want to sound cliche, but I'm just keeping it real.
True.
Like, I do not know if I would have been able to if I wasn't able to go to the Lord and know that he was there and answer my prayers and constantly, sending me little reminders that he hear me, he got me, no matter what it looks like right now, and that I'm going through this for a reason. Understanding and having the peace of knowing that there's a reason that this is happening right now. And I remember even going through the process, like being kidnapped at one point and being locked in a room and writing, like in a journal, like I was continuously writing everything that was happening. And in my mind, I said, one day I'm going to make this into a movie. One day I'm going to make this into a book. Like, I was constantly telling myself what it's going to be rather than what it is, no matter what situation I was in. So between writing and just using my arts and abilities, sometimes I would just pretend I was in a movie and like, this is just a role that I'm playing right now. Like, it was my imagination and my talent has always gotten me through it. And I know that those are all a gift from God. So, all the things together just gave me that press forward. And then, of course, by the time I had kids, that's really what sealed the deal. It's like, by the time you're right at the edge of giving up and throwing in the towel, like, God will send something else. And in some cases, it might seem like a bad thing at first. Like when you get pregnant for the first time, unintentionally, you're like freaking out. Oh my gosh, this is the worst thing that can happen. But then something shifts in you when you become a parent. And it's like, now it's all about the children. Now it's all about this child, and your world just, you can't give up now. Like, that is not an option. You have to live for them. So, so the children really kept me going at the moment when I was like, okay, everything else is not enough anymore. Then they became enough.
Wow. So is that how you came up with 9 Lives?
Through my story. So 9 Lives actually came from the pandemic, technically. Like, it was not intended to be. I was always going to make a production to go to my book. I'm always going to do that. Like, every book that y'all see from me is going to have a whole production to it. And I say production because with us 3 productions, we don't just do movies. We don't just do plays. We do movie plays or play movies. We're gonna come up with a name one of these days that just, we're gonna brand it. But we're doing something completely different that nobody else, I can't say nobody else is doing now, because nobody else was doing it when we started doing it, but now a few people are starting to do it. But we always incorporate film and everything into the plays, so it's a live experience that you can't just go watch it on TV. You got to be there and experience the whole thing as it takes place. So with that, I was already doing the shows, but then when the pandemic happened, I couldn't hire people. I couldn't hire the actors. I couldn't have the crew. I couldn't do all the stuff that I wanted to do with the show, but I didn't want to let that stop me. So when the idea came to mind, and I know it was God calling me to do it because I did not want to do it. That's how, like, personally, that's how I know that is God, because I'm like, no, thank you. I'll pass. Like, that's my initial reaction. Right. That is always my initial reaction when God is calling me to do something, because it's so much bigger than me. And me as just me, I'm just me. And so I'm like, that's too big. I can't handle that, God. But he knows what you can handle. And he always thinking bigger of you than you think of yourself. So I know that about him now. So
Yeah.
I had to reluctantly say yes to the calling of 9 Lives. And once I did say yes, then, there's a saying, where God gives vision, he will provide and he'll give provision. So the provision started to happen, and everything just started falling into place. So I created 9 Lives and broke down. I just started to think about all the traumas that I've been through, just meditating on the book, going through every part of my life, trying to put it, in order and make it flow together as a project, as a script. And the characters just kind of came to life. I started like pulling out all my wigs, all my costumes, all my stuff out the closet. We was all doing something crazy during the quarantine. I'm in here pulling out wigs and outfits and everything. And so I laid it all out on the bed, and I just started to see these different characters started to form. And I took like Post-it notes and wrote down each trauma, and I just started making each trauma. And now the 9 Lives, I don't know how it broke down into 9, but I think that I always had the idea of doing a show called 9 Lives, and it was supposed to be based on something totally different. It was going to be about a girl named Kat. Funny. But so she went by Kat, but it's called 9 Lives. And so I just incorporated, it just all kind of came together. I can't even hardly explain how it happened, because it was definitely supernatural. Because once I started to dress as that character and then look at that, like, let me focus on one specific trauma. Let me focus just on the homelessness right now, putting all the other stuff aside. As this character, I need to express what I went through in that moment, but I need to be feeling like this person, behaving like this person. My posture is going to change to what this person's posture is. My accent is going to change. Like, as I started getting ready, and again, I don't have a makeup crew. I don't have hair, like, I don't have none of that stuff, because we're quarantined. So all I had is my kids in the building with me, looking at me crazy. Every time I came in there as a different character, they like, now who is this one? And so I'd be in the bathroom, just throwing myself together. And as I'm doing it, I'm like talking as that person. And it's like, it just came to me who this person is, their name, their experiences, and their experiences were mine. It's just that specific part of it, So it was like, it was just so easy to just become them. And that, like I said, that's how I knew it was a God thing, because I look back on it, like I would just be that character. I'd go sit in the chair, record, like just roll, like just get the camera. I had 3 cameras set up, get them all rolling, and just be that character and tell my story of that particular experience and focus on nothing but that part. And it just came to me, and I watch it in the playback. I'm like, I don't even remember saying that. Like, I even had bloopers, girl. Let me tell you. I even had bloopers, like, because it was funny. Like, some of the characters were hilarious, even though they were talking about messed up stuff. So it's like, I'd be talking. I'm trying to think of a great example, but it's been a minute. Like, honestly, when I have a show coming up, I try not to think about it at all. I focus on like the marketing and the interviews and all that stuff. So I try not to think about the fact that the show's coming up to the last minute. It's something about putting that pressure on myself that it hits me like, dang, here comes the show. But and it just something switches. But like, so there's one character, like she's just talking, and let me tell y'all what happened, and this and this and that. And then a car drives by, and she's like, I wish they be quiet outside because I'm trying to film, like it's just, and I would say I would never break character. And so as I'm watching it back, because I had to edit it too, I was editing, I done wrote it, I done did all the, like, when I say one woman show, I was the whole cast and crew.
Oh my God.
So just the 9 Lives. But I'm trying to edit this, and I'm like, I am a fool. Like, and even when I was editing, I didn't even say I am a fool. I'll be like, she is a fool. That dang on Brandy, like Brandy is crazy. And I'm talking about somebody else.
Yeah, like you ain't got to blame me. You got to blame this character.
Right, exactly. But that's how it felt. It started to feel like different, and even still to this day, I have performed it. We're coming up on our 14th time performing this show live in person, because we were doing it virtual. I was doing that. Look, I'm still saying we. Well, me and Guy, we was doing it virtually for the whole pandemic. And this, as the world started to open back up, then we started to book it live and in person, and it started to just develop into something even more that I couldn't do virtually. So it was like, oh my gosh, this is so much better live. And so now we get booked to take it to different cities and stuff, and we're performing everywhere with it. And I've actually added a couple other people to the mix that have their roles that they play. That's kind of, not gonna spill the beans, but so it's not just a one-woman show anymore. There's a whole crew now. There's a whole everything else. But I kind of lost my train of thought of what point I was going to get to, but yeah, it's just like the show is just amazing. It's developed itself. This is the 14th time that we're coming on doing it. That's what it was. I knew I'd come back to it. and so I see something different every time, was the point that I was getting to, is like, even that though I wrote it, I did it, like, I don't even feel like I can take credit for that. I be watching it like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, I couldn't have wrote this. Like, I couldn't have did this myself, so I just feel like I'm on the outside looking in, even when I'm watching it. So I'll be backstage on certain parts when the movie's playing, and I'll be watching it like, wow, I really experienced like that. That was really my life. And that's crazy. Like, I'm sitting here watching the show like for the first time every time. And there are parts of it that are improv, and we have it kind of set up to go with the flow, because we want it to be different every time for the audience. We have people that come to it multiple times and see the same show, but it's different every single time. And I'm just like amazed after every single show. It never ceases to amaze me. It's incredible.
That is amazing. So now you guys are getting ready to go on tour with it?
Yes, we've gone on tour a few times, but we're lining up like specific major cities now, because our team is growing. We now have about 40 team members. Woo woo! Welcome all the team members. So that's exciting. It's a process for me, learning how to delegate and just scaling and growing everything as quickly as we are right now. So it's a process, but we are working on getting all these other major cities, because we have teams in those cities now. So Washington, North Carolina, Texas is coming up, LA, and Vegas, like all the major, like we're just going to hit them hard with it.
Yes. Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So you ain't coming to Ohio?
I know, right? I was just about to say that. You're going to have to add Ohio to the list. Gotta bring it to the hometown.
Yeah, girl, don't play us like that.
We got a connection there now, so you and I are going to have to talk about how we get it in Ohio.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely do, because it's a few places even surrounding where I'm at right now. My studio is downtown, Akron, and they have so many amazing venues for stuff like that.
Nice. I mean, we can definitely talk about that. That would be great. You are connecting Akron now.
Yes, that's for sure. That is for sure. So like, how do you see your future? Like, where are you trying to go with your career right now? What's the goal?
Well, first of all, I'm gonna be in a Marvel movie. That's number one. We done already discussed that and claimed it in Jesus' name. But no, so on a serious note, I just part of me anticipates things getting easier, because the struggle has been real, carrying so many hats, having a whole entire production company, and being a one-woman show most of the time up until, these past 2 years. And then even recently, even doubling the amount of team members that I have and the amount of help that I have. So it's like, part of me always expected for things to get easier as I go and not be such a struggle. Like, it should be effortless. I should be able to just show up and do my talent but at the same time, the more that I grow, and now that I'm going through this major growth process, I'm seeing that it's not necessarily getting easier. So,
Yeah.
they say new levels, new devils, and they was
Yeah.
not lying. It's like, oh,
Yes.
the money getting larger, but the problems is too. What's happening?
Yes.
It's
You
all
better get ready.
exactly. So, it would be nice to get to that point where it's like just no concerns at all. But I highly doubt that will ever happen because I'm running like it's just going to keep getting bigger. And there are 8 billion people on this planet. And until everyone experiences one of these Us 3 productions and they have a life changing experience at one of our shows, we are not slowing down. So we're going to continue to grow, obviously as the sponsors grow, as investors catch word of what's going on and want to put into what we're doing, then it does in some senses become easier because we can hire more people to do more things, but it still keeps growing bigger and bigger, and it's so much bigger than me. So I just anticipate continuing to do what I'm doing, saving even more lives, those numbers growing financially. And as far as the spiritual aspect, like saving lives, that number is growing. Kingdom building is what we're all about as well. So, that's growing, and, just continuing to live my best life. I try to, I think about the future, I manifest the future, I'm excited about the future, but I've gotten better recently at just living in the now. So I'm not worried about the future. Like, it is what it is now. It's just even better because it just keeps getting better. And just enjoying time with my family, making sure I make time for that. Like I said, I just came from the lake prior to this interview. So, it literally came straight from the lake to here. I'm like, oh, I got to throw a little makeup on or something. But, just making sure that I spend that quality time. My son's about to go to college this week, so I'm like a nervous wreck. There's just so many things in life that we don't take time to enjoy. And losing my grandfather not too long ago, and then a cousin shortly after, that was just sudden and unexpected. It's like when you start to experience death close to home, you really think like, dang, it could be any one of us next. It could be any moment. Like, I'm not going to let a single day go past that I'm not doing something in my purpose, doing something, just enjoying life and just loving every moment. Because if this is my last day, it's going to be the best day of my life every day. We ain't got time to waste it on no negativity, no backbite, no unforgiveness, and all that negative stuff. I don't have time to waste no energy on that. Like, none of us have time. We only have a short amount of time here on this earth. Even if we live to be in our hundreds, that's still not enough time. So it's like just enjoying every moment. The future is bright from here.
Yes. And I'm sorry for your losses.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And I love that you live in life. I'm real big on that because life is short and you never know when it's your time or anything. That's why you just gotta live it on your terms, the way you want to, and let God guide you the way.
That's right. That's right. That's all I can do.
Yes. So what a piece of advice do you have for anyone that are aspiring actors right now that's trying to break into the industry?
Well, like I mentioned before, it's all about who you know. When you go to auditions, you're going to get a lot of rejection. Just be prepared for that, and don't take it personal, because if I don't get a part, it's not because they didn't like me or I sucked. It's because they weren't looking for that specific character at that time, and I just keep it moving to the next one. So you just got to be persistent. You can't let the rejection make you stop. And just know that if you're passionate about it, you won't quit anyway. Eventually something's going to break. Continue to network, continue to audition every chance you get, continue to, the things to do. I think some people just, anytime I've had an actor ask me like that question that you just asked, it's because it's not happening fast enough for them.
Yeah.
So, again, that's one of the things where you got to be in the moment. Wherever you're at right now in your acting career, that's where you are. Like, you are a working actor. If you're out there doing the work, you're putting in work. I don't care if you're doing it for exposure to start off. You might have to do that at first. You start off with exposure, getting your name out there, building a name for yourself. Eventually you'll be to the point where you ain't even got to audition for nothing anymore. Like, when I reached that point, it was like, dang, I ain't got time to go to auditions. Everybody keep calling me. By the time I finish on one set, they call, can you come do this show and whatever. So, just building a name for yourself and networking, connecting with the right people, and then being some things you just can't teach people. Like, that's really the best advice I could give to everybody. But some things you either got it or you don't. Like, if you are just naturally a greedy person and you're willing to step on anybody to get to where you go, you're willing to sell your soul or whatever, like, that's your character. In real life, not character like in a show. So your character has to, in some cases, be checked, because that great character shows to people, and that's what's going to get you in rooms. That's what's going to make people want to introduce you to other people. That's what's going to just open doors for you. But if the people can tell when you're there, like, I'm just here for the money, or I'm just here for who do I need to step on to get where I need to get, everybody's competition, that kind of attitude, nowhere. So sometimes you just got to check yourself.
Yes, that is amazing. And thank you for that too, because I have a nephew right now. He's in a transition phase he did some side things in Cleveland for Superman.
Okay.
Like I don't know what it's called. I don't know the terminology, but he did something for it for a full week. And now from him doing that, from talking to other people, now he's in transition now to move to Georgia. So he'll be coming that way soon. And he is
connect with us 3 Productions.
Yes, I'm gonna have to tell him he's a really good kid. I ain't gonna lie, I'm scared.
Right, with him transitioning to Atlanta.
Yes, I am. I am so nervous because he's what is he now? 22, 23 years old, and he's the only child. It's just he's just ready to step out there, and I'm like the auntie mom. So,
right, exactly. You remember when we were that age and we thought we knew everything, and we was just going, and now we looking back like,
yes. So I just be nervous. I'm like, don't drink around people. I'll just be telling them something.
Don't leave your glass nowhere. Yeah, just tell them all the time. Maybe thinking we paranoid, but trust me, we know.
Yes. So I just be wanting him to be safe and surrounded by good people and everything, because he's a really good kid and he's really good at acting too. So I'll be sure to show him this video so he can feel motivated and encouraged, because I was like, most actors and actresses I know, they was broke. They was trying to make it. And
how many stories went to LA with $3 in their pocket, $6 in their pocket, $7 in their pocket? We hear this story all the time, and here they are with that dedication, and it was determined.
Yes,
you don't get it. You have to want it bad enough.
Yes, seriously. So I really appreciate you with just being the voice, because a lot of people sometimes scared to even speak on different things the way you do, and from you speaking on that, it's like you healing at the same time, and you helping someone else, and you're going to be blessed at the same time. So if people realize that more doors will open for them, and I pray that so many doors you get an overflow.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Welcome. So how can people get in contact with you or work with you or even purchase your book and everything that you're doing?
Absolutely. So y'all know I do a lot, as she said, but I made it really simple for y'all. All you got to do is go to vitelle.net. That's www.vitelle.net. Vitelle.net is my website. You can find all my social media there. You can get a copy of my book from there. You can see my work, my resume, whatever you want. Everything's right there. We're even going to have merch coming soon. All of those things is all going to be right there. And also, if you want to be an actor, if you want to be considered for auditions, or if you want to stay in the loop with what shows we have coming up and where we're going or anything, you can contact us directly by phone as well. We have a text subscription list now, and you can text 770-626-5075 to join that list. Just text casting if you're interested in being an actor. Just say hey if you're just interested in following. You can say whatever you want. You're going to get an auto response. You got to make sure that you add your information to our database. And again, that number is 770-626-5075. Text that number, and that's the best way to stay on the hot list, on the super VIP list with us 3 Productions and what we got going on.
That is amazing. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And I had a good time talking to you tonight.
Too. You're awesome, my Ohio sister.
All right.
Appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person and bringing 9 lives to your city.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight on Life Heard Podcast. You can subscribe on all major platforms and especially on our YouTube to play back and watch this amazing interview we just had on Life Heard Podcast. And make sure you guys just interact with us, comment, just let us know how you feel about this amazing interview. Thank you and have a good night.